Renovation Insights, where I'll be helping you renovate your properties with the grace and ease that it can be done. Last time we spoke about how to talk to trades, how to deal with trades on site, how to manage them and get the best out of them. Today I want to talk to you about where to find potential trades to work with and how to vet them, how to make sure that they're going to meet your expectations, etc., because it is difficult. So first place we often get trades from is recommendations from friends and family. It's a really good place to start because they have potentially had first-hand experience of their actual work and interacting with them, etc. But the pool of people is limited, and if you're doing several renovations, etc., then you're going to run out of people pretty quickly relying on that method. One thing to most definitely keep in mind is expectations. The expectation of the friend or family member for how that trade conducts themselves may be very different to how you are expecting them, and it's important that you make sure that those expectations align. Well, yeah, sure, he turned up 20 minutes late and he just left cups of tea here, there and everywhere, and yeah, I had to tidy up after him. But just feel how smooth that plastering is. You know, that's really good. That could be your friend or family's point of view on dealing with this person. And he was cheap. He was cheap. You know, it's great. Whereas your expectation might not be based solely on price. It might be that you want someone to turn up when they said they was going to turn up, and you want the place to be like you didn't even know they'd been there, apart from the superb piece of work that they've actually done. You're not having to tidy up after them, you're not having to chase them, etc. So those expectations need to meet. Next place to find people, or place people tend to go to, is Facebook. Can be a good place when you're looking at a trade's Facebook page or their Instagram, that type of thing, so you can look at the scope of work that they do, you can see the quality and standard of the work that they're doing. Obviously they'll only put the decent pictures on, but what they think is good and what you think is good, again, might not line up. But one thing that I would not do is post into a local community group saying, I need a plasterer, does anyone know a plasterer? Because yeah, sure, within a couple of hours you'll end up with 20 names, often some of them the same name repeated and repeated. People on Facebook want to help, and it's a dead easy way to help to recommend somebody or put someone's name in there. They more likely than not will have just seen that name elsewhere on Facebook and thought, oh yeah, I remember them being recommended before, I'll mention them now, because they want to be helpful. They haven't actually had work done by that person at all. They don't know if they're any good or not. So therefore, take that name, but treat it as though you just read it in the yellow pages. And you have to do the, showing me age there, you have to treat it with that same level of due diligence from zero. So there's still quite a lot of work to do, even though they were recommended and you got the name from Facebook. Online platforms like Check a Trade and My Builder. Now, these online platforms, they appear as though they might actually do a bit of vetting and checking on people quality. I think they do check and see if they've got insurance, but that's about it. They don't know about their standards or anything. What you will find though is you generally get a good, in my experience, is you get a good response from people from Check a Trade, because they paid to be there. If they're getting an inquiry through from that website, they will respond in a positive way and try and win the work. So I generally, in my own experience, have quite a good experience with people from Check a Trade. I tend to use that as a little bit of a directory. I then cross-reference it with Facebook and Google reviews, etc. But I'll come to that in a little while. Builders merchants, trade counters. I often find that quite a good place because the staff obviously have quite a few interactions with them. They'll kind of know who pays their bill on a regular basis, who comes in looking clean and tidy, and who, yeah, they won't know especially who does a good job. Also, they might recommend people who they have a good crack with when they turn up at the counter to buy their goods, etc. So there is that little bit of a juxtaposition there, but it's still somewhere to most definitely consider. Also, first thing in the morning, you can see the builders, merchants, etc. are full of trade vans, often sign written, so you can jot down plenty of numbers there. I wouldn't necessarily approach a guy in a builder's merchant that's going to and fro from his van trying to get gear. You're more likely than not going to get the best response because he's in delivery mode, if you understand me. He's got his head focused on sorting out these materials and getting to the job and figuring all that out. When you call him on the phone and it's a number that he doesn't recognize, his mind switches into new inquiry, customer type kind of thing. When you just approach him like that, again, in my experience, you don't necessarily get the best response, and you don't get a true reflection of that person at their best, if you like. Just a little bit of a greater insight there. Networking events. I find that builders don't use this as much as they should, but property networking events, things like BNI, that type of thing, if you have a builder who's turning up there on a regular basis, he will want to have a good reputation. If you're engaging them with work and they don't do a great job, they know it's going to reflect in that community, that you're going to tell that community, yep, don't use Bob. I tried him, not great experience. And it's then going to make his whole point of being there pretty much worthless. So you're likely to get a good interaction, good level of service if you do happen to meet any builders, tradesmen at a networking event. Trade bodies like Federation of Master Craftsmen, those guys do check and do some due diligence on the workmanship of their members. Again, in my own personal experience, I find these guys are usually pretty busy. So you have to book them plenty in advance. But again, I've always had reasonable service from them regards quotations and interactions. I've always had a good experience. Local cafes and greasy spoons. First thing in the morning, again, lunchtime-ish, there are places where these guys go to congregate to and from the merchants, that type of thing. Again, plenty of sign written vans, just to jot numbers down, and you'll get a feel for who is working in the local area. There is, of course, Google. I often search for my own personal methodology is I search for a trade that I'm looking for on Google Maps to start off with. I can then see their location in relation to me and how far they're going to have to travel to the job. I can then look at Google reviews and see the thing that I look for in Google reviews is a nice constant stream of reviews. Every couple of months or something like that, there's a new one. It shows that the trade is thinking and asking clients to put a Google review on there. One of the things that I don't like to see is that there's a big glut of reviews all around the same time. It's probably when they set their page up or last thought about reviewing their page, and that they got a load of friends and family to write a nice review, and it gives a bit of a false impression. I wouldn't be scared if a trade has got 10 or 12 reviews and one, maybe two of them aren't the most glowing. We all come across people that we don't ultimately get on with, interact, have the best experience with, and there can be, when a trade does some work, there can be a misalignment between the client and them, and despite their best efforts, they're just don't get on, and they just don't see eye to eye, and ultimately that comes out in a Google review. So if there are a couple of negative ones, I wouldn't not contact that trade, but I would ask them about that and be open and honest. Look, it's something that concerns me. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to work with you, but there you go. There's plenty of places we can go and find good tradesmen to work with. So how do we go about actually vetting them? We've rung them up, we've called them, we've told them about the job, they've said yes, they're interested. Great, we send them the information, they've sent us a quote back. How are we now, as well as the price and the scope of works, how are we going to actually decide if we want to work with them? Well, first of all, there's the qualifications side of things. So if they're a plumber, gas engineer, have they got that gas safe certificate? If they're an electrician, have they got their electrical certificates? Have they got the insurances? I mean, we all ask about these things, but actually get them to email you so you know that it's there. And it's if they're a half decent trade, they'll just have it in a little folder. It won't be any hassle for them, and they'll be able to just send it straight to you. Ask for references. Now, they're not going to send you people that are going to say bad things about them. We all know that, but it's then the questions that you ask that person about the work that they did. Were they punctual? Did they do it in the time that they said they were going to do it? Were they clean and tidy as they worked? Did they tidy up at the end of each day, or did they just leave stuff lying bloody everywhere for them to carry on? That may or may not be important to you, depending on how you're running your project. If they came across anything that was unexpected, how did they deal with it? Did they tell you about it at the time, or did they leave it to the end and then surprise you with it at the end, saying, oh, by the way, it's going to be an extra 500 quid because I had to screed or fix this bit of the floor? You know, that's not how I personally want to be dealing with things. So you need to make sure that, again, you understand how that particular trade person's works. Ask them, how did they pay them? You know, it could be, oh yeah, I had cash sat there waiting and I paid them there on the Friday. That's how they wanted paying. That might not align with how you want to actually pay for things. So if you follow all those tips and tricks there, then you stand yourself the best chance of working with a tradesman that's going to give you a good job, especially coupled with everything that I talked about in my last video about writing a good specification and being clear about your expectations and having an actual agreement, a contract between you and the tradesperson. That said, end of the day, we are all human. You can have the most fantastic tradesperson that you've used for 10 years, and then life gets in the way. Family member dies, somebody gets seriously ill, and we all know that can throw us completely out. So as a project manager, as a property investor, we have to be aware that these things happen, and we have to be mindful of how we're going to have a plan B and how we're then going to deal with it and move forward. There's always a chance of that. So I hope you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments where you tend to find your best trades. I'll genuinely be interested in that, and I think it'd be great as a little community where you see there might be something in this long list that I've given you of a place that I'm missing. I'm always keen to learn. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Andy's Renovation Insights. If there's any way that you think I might be able to help you out, then feel free to book a call through the website. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. See you later.